Just today, NTA in collaboration with UGC has decided to take a step back, and it seems like we are going back to the past. In this step of apparently absolute nonsensical time travel, NTA in collaboration with UGC has decided to skip the CBT or computer based test that NET was conducting from December 2018 up until December 2023. For the last 5 years, the NET exam was conducted using computers and using the CBT mode. But just today, NTA has declared that it will go back to the pen and paper and the OMR mode. This is absolutely ridiculous and has no basis whatsoever. And today's video is all about the disadvantages of going back to the OMR mode and how it is going to affect you in the longer run of things. So let's get started. Well, the first thing that you have to take into consideration while doing this kind of an analysis of the pros and cons of OMR against CBT are the ways in which cheating can be implemented in this particular examination. Now, when you're doing a CBT, your scores or your responses are given to you later on when the answer keys are released. When you are giving an OMR, your OMR can easily be replaced by someone else because it's just a piece of paper, and these pieces of papers will be collected manually by the people who are invigilating, and then it will be then assorted and then sent for evaluation by the exam venue superintendent. In this process, it's very easy to replace this piece of paper, which is your OMR. This is the first thing. The second thing is that the OMR sheets that you are filling out will take a significantly larger amount of time than it usually takes. Now, since we are going back to the OMR mode, it is highly probable that NET paper will now be again divided into two sections, 1 hour for paper 1 and 2 hours for paper 2. This is very bad for all of us, as already the first paper has 1 hour. Even in the CBT, when you don't have to circle it and fill the entire circle with a pen or pencil, except that also the time taken to fill out those 50 questions correctly is not enough if you consider the time which is given for it, which is 1 hour. And when you have to fill out those 50 questions in OMR, in addition to filling out your name, your roll number and all the other additional details that an OMR sheet has, then you will realize that it is nowhere near enough. And all of us who have been giving the exam for the past 5 years, we got used to the pace of the NET exam, where we had 3 hours in total to give 2 papers, and it was on a computer, so we didn't have to do any circling and coloring and all of that. And what NTA and UGC are doing is that they are disrupting the preparation flow that we have built for the past 5 years, and they want to disrupt the balance which NET candidates or aspirants have built out throughout their careers for the last 5 years or so. In an earlier video where I had mentioned the 3 new categories which have been created for NET, category 1 being JRF, category 2 being assistant professor, and category 3 being just people who are eligible for PhD, I had mentioned how this entire scheme has been created so that people give the exam multiple number of times, and the application fee, which is 1,000 rupees for the UR candidate, can be collected repeatedly from people who have now been given a mandate to appear for that exam every time it happens, at least once a year. Now, if you take into consideration this new tactic which has been implemented by UGC and NTA together today, then you will come to the realization that this is also a part of that larger scheme where they want you to appear for that exam multiple number of times. If you have been giving the exam in the CBT format for the past 5 years, then you are already used to it. But now, at this point of time, you will now have to get used to the OMR type of answering as well. Now, many of you would argue that we have been giving the WB set exam as well, which is in the OMR format, but many people are there who have not been giving the WB set exam, or there may be many people who are just eyeing the NET exam because of its all India acceptability. For those people, this is going to be particularly bothersome. The next thing which I would try to bring to your attention is the opportunity for you to not be able to rectify yourself. If you mark one answer in an OMR sheet, there is no way you can go back and then change it again, especially since this is a pen and paper based OMR, not a pencil and paper based OMR. A pen and paper based OMR means that you have to lock in your answers the moment you finalize that answer. Now, many of you may come at me and argue that we can first tick our answers in the question paper and then go ahead and circle our answers in the OMR sheet later. This, as you know, if you have given an OMR based exam in the past, then you know that this is entirely pointless and this takes up more time at the end, especially in paper 1. This is not an option. The moment you find out an answer, you really have to mark it and then go ahead. The CBT exam allowed you to mark a question as a separate category so that you can come back to it later. The OMR has no such opportunity. Even if you use a pencil, if you try to rub it, there is a good chance that the very thin OMR based paper will be obliterated away and the particles of it will come out from that eraser, which is why they don't allow an eraser on our OMR sheets anymore. The OMR sheets that we are provided, or rather we were provided, I was very fortunate or unfortunate to have given one OMR based NET examination, which was in June 2018. And I remember the quality of OMR sheets that were given at that point of time. They were very thin and poorly constructed paper, so that even if you circle it using a pen very deeply, it can create a hole in that piece of paper. So you have to be very careful and take all of these things into consideration while you are attempting this exam in the OMR based format. Now, I have already discussed the disadvantages. You might ask me, as I have been teaching NET to students for the past 3 years or so, what are my suggestions to you who are appearing for the NET June exam? Well, I have 3 fundamental suggestions. First is you go to your nearby stationery shop or you go to Amazon and you buy this bundle of 100 OMR sheets or bundle of 50 OMR sheets that are available on Amazon. Take my word for it, practicing OMR will take out 70 to 80% of your disadvantage away, and it will put you ahead of 80 to 85% of people who will not practice OMR, who will think that this is something that they can do. It's not incorrect, they can do it, but the speed at which they can achieve it is not going to be the same speed at which you achieve it. You are going to achieve it at a much higher and much more efficient speed. And if you practice say 20, 30, 40 OMR sheets, then at that point of time you will no longer be at a position where you have to first circle the outside with a black pen, then circle the inside. You can directly start circling the entire thing in one simple straightforward motion. This speed or this advantage of 2 to 3 seconds per question is not a matter of joke. If you take into consideration the fact that you have 50 questions and if you have a 5-second window for each question, then that is 250 seconds. If you divide it by 60, you will find out that it is more than 4 minutes. And 4 minutes, my friends, is no joke. If you have a 4-minute advantage over your competitors while you are attempting paper 1, then there is a high chance that you will be the winner as compared to your fellow competitors. And for paper 2, those who are appearing for English or other humanities based subjects where it is either you know it or you don't know it type of question, then this kind of a problem probably won't exist for paper 2, but I know there are people who still struggle with paper 2's time management as well. So I would suggest you practice OMRs for both the papers. This is my first and most important fundamental suggestion. The second most important suggestion is that you go back to question papers before 2018. That is the OMR based question papers. These question papers are very easily available, but since the time OMRs have become obsolete in NET, these question papers were not considered by people who were teaching NET or people who were learning for this particular exam as well. Now, since we are going back to the OMR mode, it is highly possible that these questions in a different permutation and combination can be used in the NET exam as a repeat question or as something which you think is no longer relevant or applicable to you. And the third thing is you go to set question papers which have been conducted by states where the central power, that is the political party which is ruling at the center, is the ruling party of that particular state as well, and find out the set question papers of those particular states, and then you solve those question papers using the OMR sheets that you have bought from your stationery or Amazon shop. This way you will get an idea of what kind of questions can come, and you are smart enough to understand what exactly I am indicating here, especially for paper 1 and chapters like teaching aptitude or logical reasoning when it comes to Indian logic, which is a new addition to the NET syllabus. So the OMR based thing is basically a step back to the past, and I am absolutely very tightly against this idea. I'm not at all liking it, because this is a disadvantage for practically everyone else except the people who already knew this beforehand. I'm sure there were people who anticipated this at least a month or two back and who have already started practicing accordingly. But for everyone else who came to know about this just today, this is going to be a huge hit, and I sincerely hope that you come out of it taller, stronger, sharper. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, hasta la vista.